Houston has been a top destination for so many people relocating across the country. However, some people have regret and surprises when they get here. And today I'm going to let you in on all those things that you need to know before you make the big decision to move to the great state of Texas and specifically Houston. So I help dozens of people every single month move here. That's what we do. But there are some surprises that people don't know about that I'm going to go through today so that you're not caught off guard when you get here. So I'm Natasha Tessier. I'm the owner of Dwell Realty and Design by EXP, born and raised in the great state of Texas, and I love it here. Today, I'm going to show you the real reasons that people regret moving to the great city of Houston and how to make sure you're not one of those people that regrets this move. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is a master plan community does not necessarily mean move-in ready. There's a community out here in Montgomery. They were advertising there's going to be a pool. You know, you'll have a neighborhood pool in a few years. Well, the pool never came, and they're still working with the city of Conroe and the city of Montgomery and trying to get the pool in and trying to find these people access to a pool. It's important that you know, and I've spoken about this before, who the developer is. Are they going to really stick to the word? Do they have deep pockets to get all those amenities in place? So you don't want to go to a community where they say, yes, you know, there's going to be a pool and a workout facility and a movie theater and 10,000 square foot amenities center. And if it's not built, is it really going to come? So if a pool or certain amenities, if it's not complete, then be cautious. Make sure that it's in writing what will and won't be there and that you're not caught off guard. And then a lot of them are still, you're going to live in construction zone. People are surprised with, oh my gosh, they still have 10 more houses to build on the street or thousands of more homes in the neighborhood, and you're constantly living in construction zones with all sorts of things up and down your street. A lot of people are surprised by that. You can be one of the closeout houses. That's one of the last ones. But if you're one of the first, you'll probably get a better deal, but you're going to have to live through construction. So just be prepared for that. The other thing I want that is surprising about these master plan communities is going into the model home. They put every upgrade they possibly can in the model home. So you have to keep that in mind when you're going to look. And then they kind of rope you in and they say, oh, the base price is $550. That model home probably is worth $750 with all the upgrades. And they will surprise you on those upgrades. They're going to charge you to change your faucet color. They're going to charge you for a different color lighting. They're going to charge you for your flooring. So you have to have somebody who knows how to sort through all that, what is included and what isn't included. They may say, oh, you're going to get $50,000 in design center. Well, that could be used up just on hardwood floors or something like that. So it sounds much bigger than it is, but you get to the design center and it's quite surprising. Some people like to go to the design center first before deciding so they can kind of get an idea of what could be included in the budget that they're trying to stay in. But do not be surprised when your home doesn't look like the model home. Just make sure when you walk into a community, you're not listening to the sales rep. That's really why you want an agent with you. They're going to pay us. You're not going to pay us anything. I've never had a buyer pay me anything to date. They're going to pay us regardless if you have an agent or not. They have a budget set aside for a realtor. So why would you not use a realtor to go in, tell you what to spend your money on, what not to spend your money on, and then ask all the hard questions? That model home might have a media room that's, you know, a $20,000 upgrade on the plan that you're looking at. There's so many things that we have to look at so that you don't have surprises. Okay, the next thing that might catch people off guard are these HOAs or homeowners associations. I'll be honest, I live in one, and they have kind of been sticklers over this really dumb thing on our brand new house. But regardless, they are good because you don't want your neighbor to be able to paint their house pink or purple or never mow their lawn. You know, all those things will make your value go down. So you do want an HOA, unless you're on 50 acres unrestricted and you don't really have neighbors, it's going to help you hold value. You do want to be cautious. So like in our neighborhood, supposedly no chickens. I know 20 people that have chickens. Could they get caught? Could they get forced? Yes. But you want to know up front what is and isn't allowed. Let's just say your neighbor is like never power washing their siding and it's like black and nasty. They're going to get onto them if they're a good HOA and they are involved. So they can be very, very good and very, very helpful. Ours just put up cameras at the gates, you know, helping take care of the roads. They can be very helpful, but they can also be a huge nuisance, and people are surprised at how much control they have. Can you put a shop there? Does it have to be approved? Lots of different things that people have to battle through with the HOA. Another thing that I kind of want to mention along the HOA lines is cap fees. So people are surprised with cap fees. back to the master plan communities, these new developers are wanting a capitalization fee to sell every home in the neighborhood. To me, it's a racket. It's crazy. But a lot of them are half of 1%. Let's say you sell $1 million home in your neighborhood, half of 1% is going to be $5,000. Or a $500,000 home, it's $2,500 in addition to, your realtor fees and your title policy. You have these capitalization fees. They're in almost every single new neighborhood. I just sold a home yesterday in Escondido. Their HOA is only $900, but they charged an additional $900 just to buy the house. They probably all will have the capitalization fee. You need to know what it is, how much it is. As far as who pays that, if you go to turn to sell, it is very negotiable. So you can negotiate that with your builder, who's going to pay the cap fee. You can negotiate it with your buyer. Just depends on what market we're in. Right now we're in a buyer's market, so most buyers are not going to pay your cap fee for you. However, if we're in a seller's market and there's 10 bids, they're going to say, yep, I'll cover the cap fee. But some people don't even know they're there. And I will tell you, there are very few master plan communities now that do not have a cap fee. So just be aware. The other thing to be aware of is the MUD and the PID. They're pretty much the same thing. Basically, higher taxes to pay off the infrastructure. Probably assess around 3%. Some are 3.2, some are 2.9, but most of them are 3% for the newer communities because they're paying off a MUD. Now, it will go down over time. I used to live in a neighborhood, it was 3.5 and then 3.2, and now it's 2.9. As more people move in and that infrastructure gets paid off, that rate goes down. But until then, you need to be aware. I would say most master plan communities are going to have a MUD or a PID. There are a few that are coming up that are on land out here that have gotten away with not doing it, but most do. All right, so another one to be aware of is the neighborhood vibe online may not match what it is in person. If a neighborhood is brand new and oh my gosh, it looks amazing. I have an example of this right now. I have somebody looking for a more affordable house, kind of Cypress Hockley area. And they sent me a neighborhood. I'm not going to mention it because I'm not allowed to steer people, but they sent me a neighborhood and I was like, hey, have you looked at the crime rates around there? Have you driven through the area? That neighborhood is a diamond in the rough, meaning it's very nice. They have the most amazing water center with, wave pool and lazy river and all this stuff, but all the houses around it and the rankings of the schools are terrible because it's a diamond in the rough. So be careful when you're looking online that you don't purchase in a neighborhood where you're the best thing around. You want to be surrounded by homes that are nicer than you, areas that are nicer than what you're purchasing. It will help you hold value. You don't want to be the nicest home on the block. The other thing that people are surprised on, like they'll send us a list, and my assistant's really good at going through and catching these things. She caught one yesterday for a client. Like it backed up to a commercial property. You have to know where these homes are. What are they backing up to? Are they backing up to a major road that you're going to hear road noise all night? Are they backing up to a shopping center? There's some gorgeous houses built right here on Hanea, Egypt. Gorgeous farmhouses. They're beautiful and they've been sitting for a year because they're off a busy road and nobody wants to pull up and buy off a busy road. So keep all those in mind while you're house shopping. The other thing that a lot of people feel one way or the other. So you go buy on acreage. I live on 2 acres right now, and I don't really know any of my neighbors. I know a few from the Facebook page, and I've sold houses to several, but it's not a real social neighborhood. When I lived in Wood Forest, for some people like my husband, it was too social. So you always had friends over. You had Halloween parties, you had 4th of July parties. So it just kind of depends on what you're looking for, but a lot of people are surprised at how too quiet some neighborhoods are, or too loud, just depending on what you're looking for. If you have young kids and you want them to have a friend on every corner, master plan community is where that's going to be. It just depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for peace and quiet, or are you looking to have neighbors and have a lot of sense of community? And then we can help you find that. Okay, the other thing I'm going to talk about is that people are surprised is different builders. So we definitely have levels of builders, like your entry level, KB, Lennar. Then you kind of have this mid-range, which is your Perry, Highland, David Weekley, Weston. I would say Ravana and Dries are kind of a step up from there all the way to custom. You can't necessarily pick based and say, okay, David Weekley has the best reputation across the whole city. It's going to come down to who your supervisor is on that property. I just closed that home in Escondido and the guy was fabulous. We went in to do the blue tape walk, which means we're going to walk through and tape the walls and look for scratching. I couldn't find one thing wrong with the house. One thing. He takes so much pride in his work. work. And he kept telling them, after you move in, we're not leaving you. If you have an issue after you move in, we're happy to help you. That is so important. I've also been to another builder and there was trash in the yard. I was picking up the trash on the final walkthrough. The staircase looked awful. It wasn't vacuum. You could just tell he didn't take pride in his work, and he got frustrated when I called him out on it, and I do call them out on it. I'm going to negotiate and I'm going to make sure the house is ready. So you have to make sure that you go through those things. Obviously, do an inspection, make sure that everything is fixed, but you also want somebody who's a good supervisor, who's on top of things, responsible, communicates well, and will get things fixed and not brush them off. That's very, very important, regardless of what builder you choose. Another thing to think about is the vibe. Figure out what your vibe is and what it is you're looking for. Visiting during school hours. See the people getting off the bus. How do people, take care of their lawns? What is that neighborhood vibe about? That'll help you with making a more informed decision. I always tell my clients, if you're new here, drive around. The first day, just drive around to the places you're thinking. Trust me, you will know, like, hey, we fell in love with X and that's where we want to be. So it's important to get the feel for that neighborhood. Talk to the neighbors too. I mean, some people go in and they start talking to neighbors, and the neighbors are, oh, we love it here and we love everything, or, they never put our pool in, or whatever it is. Talk to the neighbors. They'll be honest with you. Okay, the next one is 1-story homes are harder to find than 2-story. Now, if you're below, say, 2,400 square feet, we can get you a 1-story. But to get these massive 4,000 square foot 1-stories, they're probably not going to happen unless it's custom, or there are a few, but it's just not as common. One reason being is it's a lot cheaper to build a 2-story, and you get a bigger backyard because your slab is not taking up half the yard. So with how small they're doing these lots, and then, people wanting the media room, the game room, all that stuff, that makes perfect to do right on the 2nd story at the top of the landing. One other thing that people are surprised by is all of our primary rooms are downstairs. If you do a resale, it will be harder because 99% of people, if they have a primary, they want it down. They want the kids upstairs with the game room and the media room and their own space, and they want to be down. So keep that in mind. You don't necessarily want to go buy a house with all the bedrooms up and then in 5 years try to sell it. You'll sell it, but it's going to sit longer. The other thing is, if you are looking for a large 1-story and you see one pop up, they do go quickly. So they're good for resale because people retiring, families that all want to be on the same floor because they don't like the split level plan, they are popular. So if you are looking for that, we can search just for 1-stories, but just keep that in mind. They do go quicker. So you want to be prepared to swipe up a large 1-story. Smaller ones, there's tons of those out there, but larger ones, not so much. The next thing I'm going to talk about are the builder incentives being a trap. Okay, this is a huge one, you guys. They're going to say, hey, if you work with our lender, we'll give you $10,000 in closing costs. Let us compare that to a traditional lender. I have a great woman. She's fabulous. She'll look at it. She'll be honest with you and say, wait a minute, they're charging them $10,000 for that $10,000, or they're charging rate buy down, or they're charging a ton of lender fees, and we can beat it and we're going to be better than that. So don't get trapped by these builders and all that they say. They're going to make you think you're getting the most amazing deal from anybody walking through the door. And if they ever say you only get it today, just walk out. I mean, I always tell them, like, this is not a used car sales shop. We're here to buy a home. So if they're going to pressure us, we're not interested. That's what I tell them. We're not interested. They're going to tell everybody the same thing. And they're going to say, oh my gosh, for you, I will do $20,000 off this house. I can probably get it approved. No, we're going to go to the builder and we're going to go lower and lower and lower until they just tell us goodbye. That's what I do. I tell my clients, if you're going to go into a new construction, say, hey, I'm working with Natasha. I don't really want to talk price right now. Just show me what you have and then we'll go from there. Let me do the negotiating for you. Let me get the best deal that I can possibly get you. And trust me, we will, because we're going to push them and we're going to make an offer that's going to be well below what they're telling everybody who walks in the door. So that's really something that you need to think about. So when you work with me, I'm going to break it down. What's negotiable, what's not negotiable, what is fluff and what is real, because that's going to happen every day when you walk into these model homes. Figure out what's going to be the best fit for you and your family or your spouse, whatever it is. Figure out who's being honest with you and who is telling you things just to get you to buy, because that's what happens a lot. I am here to help you. I do this every single day. I would love for you to pick up the phone, text me, call me, email me, whatever. And myself or one of my girls will get back to you. We'll set up a Zoom. We'll help you find the best spot for you to move to the great state of Texas. And I hope you have a blessed day.